Youth Build is a community development agency that operates here in New Jersey. They currently run a program for the state. They do embed academic courses.
We need order, so because people really want to hear these details, including the board. Many of us are hearing these details for the first time, so please, Mr. Gold.
Youth Build embeds academic course credits through applied learning with the construction industries. It does connect with the greater Newark area construction trades at both the union as well as the architectural level. There is a waiting list of several hundred Newark students who have applied to this program. We are proposing opening with 110 students in grade 9 and locating this in the lab space at the former Academy for Vocational Careers site. The fourth,
please, so we can continue with the conversation, please, Mr. Gold.
the fourth option is a school focused on green technology that would partner with Big Picture Learning. Big Picture Learning currently has 3 small programs here in Newark as part of the Newark Innovation Academy. This would be a merger of the existing Barringer 9 leadership, which has expressed a desire to promote green learning in science and technology, with Big Picture and with our own Newark Public Schools partnerships with PSE&G, Verizon, and other Newark companies. This would open with 109th and 110th graders in 2011 and be co-located at Barringer 9. The fifth and final proposal is a second early college high school model. This would partner with Bard College, who operates 3 early college high schools who have demonstrated strong results. Students in these programs do complete an associate degree at the same time they finish their high school diploma. This model would open with 100 9th graders and 60 11th graders. The 11th graders would enroll in college courses this coming fall, and the proposed co-location is at Camden Middle School. The next steps that we are proposing are to have these external partners partner with our current Newark Public School leaders to discuss what a collaboration could look like. When the educational leaders have met, community outreach on new high school options would begin. If we move forward, then we would begin recruitment of teachers, staff, and administrators, leading to a series of community meetings at the schools. This concludes my presentation.
Okay. Hope I have a few questions, Mr. Lewis. Mr. Gold, I have a few questions. First, I want to applaud the effort. I want to first applaud the effort to provide our parents with more options, with the effort to provide our parents with more small learning communities, with the effort to provide our parents with more options that have a proven track record of preparing our kids for success in the 21st century. So while we talked earlier about the concerns the board has with the process and with the lack of information sharing with the board and with the parents up to this point, I want to emphasize support for the effort to provide better options for our parents and to provide more proven programs that have been shown to be successful. But with that said, I have a few questions. I first have a question about the Diploma Plus program. I know we've had existing Diploma Plus programs for a while. What evidence do we have that the Diploma Plus programs we have in place already have shown themselves to be successful in terms of providing high quality services to kids?
We currently have one Diploma Plus program. It is co-located with the NAF Academy at Westside. Okay. We have seen that this program grew from, this is its 3rd year of operation. In its 1st year of operation, it was allowed to grow to approximately 50. The students who were drawn to that program were under the former Office of Alternative Education. We have shown improved grades, improved attendance, and in this past year where we allowed the program to grow to 100, it quickly filled up so that it actually was at capacity in September, as opposed to trickling students in. So what I see are the programmatic indicators of higher attendance, leading to higher local achievement. This will be the first year where they have a cohort large enough to take HESPA, so that we'll actually gain that. But when the students and parents are picking a program, it leads me to indicate that it's filling a need.
Okay. And the program is currently at Barringer 9 now?
No, it's currently at West Side now.
At West Side? And so
Or in street school.
The proposal, and what I would like to do with the board is if we can go one by one, so if we can go through each of these 5 proposals one by one, and if any board members has questions, if we can go one by one. We're on the Diploma Plus, the first one. Can you, so what's the rationale for co-locating this program at Barringer 9?
By having programs of choice distributed throughout the geography of Newark. It is not enough to simply grow a program on one site. We must, as I mentioned very early on in my presentation, ensure that choice is alive and well near where students live. And so by having multiple small programs co-located together, we're able to make sure that students and parents do not have to go across the city to find a program which fits their need.
Would there be any displacement of current students who are at Barringer 9 now? Would the placement of this new program at Barringer 9 produce any displacement of kids?
There is a repurposing of Barringer 9 so that it now becomes a combination green technology program. The current principal there has expressed a desire. I sat in on his interview with Dr. Janey in 2009. He showed intense leadership around making sure education was relevant. By bringing that local commitment with a big picture educational model and co-locating 2 programs, we have more choices in the North Ward.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Gold about the? No. Any questions about the Project Best Learning Diploma Plus program at Barringer 9?
Mr. Gold, because I have a question with regards to the timing for the co-location. Is it the same? Is it the regular school hours, or is it after school, or how exactly is this going to work?
These schools are all intended to operate at approximately standard school hours. So we can stagger openings within any co-location to make sure that we have management of transportation.
Because my concern is that because these are overaged and re-entering high school, my concern is the different ages that are going to be co-locating in one school, especially, 9th grade.
So one of the biggest problems in studying the problem of trying to reintegrate dropouts into our schools is that they often get treated as an other. So Diploma Plus does serve overage and undercredited students, but the majority of their enrollment at NAF is actually on grade level in age. They are behind grade level in credits.
Right.
And so we are open to enrolling the overage as well, but that is not who these programs is appealing to.
Okay. I just hope everyone understands the security.
I wanna.
Mr. Lewis.
I wanna. I read in this bullet right here. It says serve students who are overage and undercredited. Now, Barringer being a ninth grade campus, I'm concerned about overaged people being in the same building as our children, who's 13 and 14 years old. So.
You did just say that.
So my question is, why is this program not going to be at 200 Washington Street, where we already service dropout children, overage children who's looking for a diploma?
have a twofold answer to that. One, the current programs at 200 Washington are the performance learning centers and not Diploma Plus. And secondly, we need to make sure that we are distributing these programs throughout the city.
I think that the meaning in the beginning for making Washington Street the location was because it's a central location where everyone can get to. I think that, you know, we need to stop trying to, the audience took it out of my mouth, reinvent the wheel. And we need to see what's not working already at Washington Street that we need to fix in order to get better results.
Okay. Mr. Gold, Mr. Gold. So what you're saying is this Diploma Plus program so far, well, let me ask you this, have there been cultural issues? Because you're saying right now we have a Diploma program at West Side, right?
West Side.
How many kids are at the West Side program right now?
100. 100 in Morton Street.
So we have 100 kids. Fix this. So we have 100 kids at a Diploma Plus program right now at West Side. Can you describe for the board and for the community how that program has played out? Have there been cultural issues in terms of how the West Side population has interacted with the Diploma Plus program? How has that played out so far at West Side? No, it didn't. Mr. Gold. Mr. Gold. Mr. Gold.
Last year, there. Hello? 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 There we go. So, just working. So we have in the 2009-10 school year, the initial placement of the program. As with any new placement, there were initial issues of shared space. Those were overcome, and this year there have been no issues in spite of a doubling of the size of the population at Diploma Plus.
When's the timeline for when a final decision needs to be made on whether to greenlight this program?
Obviously, all of our decisions educationally will depend on the budget we receive, but I would expect that within the next month, we need to make final determinations.
Okay. Any other questions about the Diploma Plus program proposed to be placed at Barringer 9? Okay. Any questions about the Hedrick Martin Institute program? Mr. Lewis? Mr. Lewis?
This this program, excuse me.
Please, these are very important programs. There are people in the community who do want to know more about these programs. There's board members who want to know more about these programs. We need to have, but we didn't. I agree. We should have, but it didn't happen. If you would have been here earlier, you would have heard me say we didn't get it. We need order in here. I agree we should have had it. That's what we said earlier. We weren't provided it. We're having the conversation now. We want to have this conversation. Mr. Lewis, do you have a question about the Hedrick Martin program?
This is just a question that I want to. This plan right here, this program you say is already existing. in Science Park as of right now. Am I correct?
It is an after-school program, that is
It's an after-school program already, and because after I heard about this plan right here, and you said that this was already in Science Park High School, I spoke to students and parents at Science Park High School that said this program don't exist. So is you playing games with us or what?
I invite you to come to the program at your convenience.
I mean, this is wild. Again, I mean, we can't get anywhere like this. We really can't get anywhere. These are very important issues. We want to have a conversation. We can't even hear the conversation with so much noise in the back room. Mr. Lewis had a question. Mr. Gold, can you please answer that question, please? We need some order.
Because you said, because Mr. Gold, I want you to be real honest to us as a board here. You said that you saw results in this program, and it's at Science Park High School. Now, the students said that you just started this program within a week ago at Science Park High School. So I want to be clear that you're telling us the truth about what's going on at Science Park High School. And Mr. Chair,
Seriously, I mean, we're going to have to start removing people, or we're going to have to stop the meeting, because we can't even continue. There are actually people here who want to engage in this conversation and get this information. Either we're going to have to start removing people, or we're going to have to discontinue the meeting. These are very important issues. We want to have a conversation. We need to model for these young people how we engage in a conversation about serious public policy. So we can please have quiet so we can continue with the conversation. Mr. Lewis.
excuse me.
Can we please?
Excuse me.
Can we please?
Excuse me.
I really do not want to have to remove people from here at all. We're going to continue with the board conversation right now. Mr. Lewis, do you have a question for Mr. Gold?
Please. Excuse me. Out of respect for me, y'all elected me to represent you. I'm not a part of no machine. I'm a part of the community. So when I ask questions, it's on behalf of you, for you to have information. Now, Mr. Gold, is this program was implemented after this transition program just to try to make it seem as if this program been going on the whole time in order to get this board to approve it?
Mr. Lewis, I want to answer you in... Mr. Lewis, I want to answer you in two statements. One, this program was negotiated last summer under Dr. Janey. In the fall, presentations were given to school staff and counselors. The program was launched for students this calendar year, but the planning has been going on for over 6 months. The training has been going on for over 6 months.
I'm clear now that you lied when you said that this program had been showing results. Am I clear about that now?
Mr. Lewis, I was asked whether or not Diploma Plus had shown results, and I
No, when you
responded
did the
to that
presentation, you said that this program, come on, I don't have Alzheimer's. I'm only 23 years old. I know what you said. You said that this program was in Science Park High School and have shown results already. That's what you said during your presentation. So you said in 2 months, but then we heard that you just said that was 2 weeks. So this is what I want you to do. Can you please be honest with us about the whole thing in order for us to make decisions on behalf of this community? Forget that you said this lie. I'm a preacher, so I can forget some things. I'm gonna forget that. Now, what evidence do you have that shows that this program will work for Newark, not for suburban areas, for urban areas like Newark? What proof do you have?
Mr. Gold?
With Dr. Johnson on the Newark Youth Policy Board, one of the primary areas of need for students in Newark was a safe place to discuss their reality of how they are struggling to understand themselves. What we have is a partner who has demonstrated success in New York City, and we have a documented need both through the disciplinary referrals of students who are victims as well as perpetrators to create a school option that allows students to find a safe place to learn. This is a small program that will house 150 to 160 students, and it is a documented response it is a response to a documented need.
Right. Yes. No, I'm gonna, well, Any other questions on Hedrick Martin Institute? We're at the point now where honestly, we're not gonna have many options other than to discontinue this meeting if we can't continue. We're trying to have a conversation. These are very serious issues. These are very serious issues, and we can't even hear from the presentation. Now, Mr. Gold, I understand from the presentation in the PowerPoint, you're saying that the Hedrick Martin Institute program in New York has a 90% graduation rate, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Is that in an urban context? Is it New York City? What part of New York is it?
It's in the southern portion of Manhattan, but they take students from throughout the city.
What's the demographic? What's the demographic in terms of the socioeconomic demographic of that area?
It takes students from throughout the city, so it's not reflective of a jurisdiction. It is.
I'm gonna just pause this. What do you want? This is the last look. If we can't continue this meeting, we will adjourn and meet another time. We want to continue this meeting. I want to continue this meeting. I want to continue the meeting. Listen to what I'm saying. I want to get to the meeting if y'all let us continue. We want to continue. Can you just be quiet and listen to people, and then when it's your turn to speak, you'll be recognized? We want to continue the meeting, but we can't continue it with everyone talking over everybody. We can't accomplish anything this way. We actually want to have a conversation. These are very serious issues. We want to get to the bottom of this. So please, people can just have some order. While we have these questions, we can move forward. Next, we want to move to the Youth Build program. Okay, the Youth Build program. You have a question? The public portion is after this part. So if we could finish this part, we could get to that part. You have a question on Hedrick Martin? The Vice Chair.
Dr. Gold, the Henry Martin Institute, I see here in our package, it says open to all students. And I'm hearing so many different things. I just want, I appreciate what you have done so far. I just want to know, is this geared really for all students, or is for a specific group of students?
It is all students, and
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
it is for all students, and it would be inappropriate to design a school which only appealed or was allowed for any subsection. All public schools need to have all students eligible to attend.
Okay, the only reason I was asking, because I've heard so many different things, and I just want to pose that to you so I can have clarity that this is for all students. All right. Thank you.
The youth bill program being proposed at AVC. I have a question. We have a question. Can we ask the question? We have a question. We have a question. We have a question. We have a question. Okay, this is says. Okay. Mr. Gold, is the proposal to co-locate the youth bill program with the American High School? American History High School. We know.
In January of this year, due to the very poor conditions of their previous building, American History High School did relocate to the former AVC campus.
So is the proposal, this will co-locate the youth bill program with the American History High School program?
Yes,
American History High School is one of our magnet programs, right?
yes.
What's the rationale behind, and what's the population for the youth bill program?
We are proposing approximately 400 when fully built out.
Can you talk about the rationale? I mean, Youth Build is a nationally recognized program. We know that. It's one of the best in the country, has amazing results for kids. However, can you talk about the rationale for placing the Youth Build program to co-locate that with one of our magnet school programs?
The primary motivation is facilities. The AVC campus was built as a vocational school, as the name implies. And therefore, there are spaces which allow for construction to be done on site in former automotive bays and other facilities which already exist. Fortunately, the facility has sufficient space to allow for the separation of the populations with minimal co-usage.
But I have serious concerns because I know the Youth Build program very well. It's one of the best programs in the country. Their results are amazing, and it's a kind of program we absolutely need to build partnerships with, I believe, in our district. But I have a concern about, because I know the Youth Build program has a much older population. I think there's 16 to 24 in that range. Is that right?
We have the ability to customize the admissions. The current contract with the state of New Jersey does serve those age groups. In the state of New Jersey, we do not receive funding for any student over the age of 21 unless they are special education for the state. So we will need to ensure that we have the right population and that we are receiving funding for every student who enrolls in the program.
Isn't a Youth Build population program to what those kids are kids? I know many of those kids have been adjudicated, disproportionately adjudicated.
Disproportionately, I would agree.
Can you describe the profile? Can you describe the profile of the kinds of kids who are being served by the Youth Build program?
Here in New Jersey, the only existing contract for Youth Build is with the Youth Corrections. So that has tilted the enrollment here in New Jersey.
I'm sorry, we can't hear. I mean, this is a very important question. We can't hear. Can you please repeat that? Are you saying that all of the kids are adjudicated kids?
No, under the current contract with the state of New Jersey.
Security, Mr. Freeman, if we can't get Cassandra to be quiet, we're going to have to ask her to move. If she could please let us continue. Mr. Gold, can you please describe the profile of the kids at the Youth Build program, please? Please, it's very important. Please, we'd like to hear the answer to that. Please.
The current profile is disproportionately students who have come into contact with the law enforcement, whether they have been convicted or not. They have at least touched with, so they may have been arrested. However, Youth Build as a national model has a variety of implementations throughout the country. It is our hope to recover students who have impacted by institutionalization.
Cassandra, please, so we can hear this man, please. Mr. Gold.
And to expand from Youth Build's current contracts to allow for any student who is interested in connecting with the construction trades to enroll. It will not be a requirement nor will the population be limited to students who have been adjudicated.
Are there any other locations where we can house the Youth Build program other than the American History High location?
A number of locations were considered. This, by far, was the best fit.
We're going to want as a board, we're going to want a board the full. It's ridiculous. We're going to want as a board all of the detail on that. All the Mr. Freeman. Can you just discontinue this? I want Mr. Freeman, I want you to approach anybody who is continuing to disrupt this meeting, Mr. Freeman, and remove them. If people will not be quiet so we can finish this meeting, Mr. Freeman, I want you to remove them. Security, anyone who's continuing to disrupt this meeting, if they will not calm down so we can continue the meeting, please remove them. We're going to get to public participation when we finish this part. When we finish, if we could finish, if you let us get through the agenda. Mr. Freeman, security, please remove anyone who will not allow us to continue this meeting. Mr. Gold, I'm going to want for the board a specification of all the options that could be considered for putting Youth Build in another location. That's a serious concern.
I will forward all that information to the board through the superintendent.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Lewis.
Listen, excuse me. American History High, can you hear me for a minute? I want to put it on the record right now. I don't want to wait. I want to put on the record that my vote for this will be no. Let me explain why. American History High students have been waiting for too long to get their own building. It's unfair, it's not right, it's injustice that principal, Mr. Gregory, that worked so hard to fight for them children, is now being asked to share a building that they was promised last year will be only operated by them. So then, I don't care if you gotta put Youth Build in the basement or somewhere, but it will not go in American History High.
Any other questions for the Youth Build program? Any other questions for the Youth Build program? Any other questions about any of the other two programs? Any question about any other
Well, I think I don't think you got specific answers on that. Or I didn't hear in terms of profile of the student.
Well, he said that just before they come, disproportionately will come.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Gold? Okay. Mr. Gold, we'll continue in the business meeting later on.
Mr. Chair, is this the end of the superintendent report?
Do you have anything else, Mr. Brown?
Is it the end? Is it?
Mr. Rell's report is finished.
Can I make a motion that before we start the public speaking part, that Mr. Baraka, we said his proclamation earlier, that he have 2 minutes just to address us as a board.
Does any board member second that?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion on that? We have a motion from a board member.
Yes.
And now Mr. Baraka to speak for 2 minutes.
Okay.
Right. And during public participation, we'll add that during public participation. Because we still have some votes, we got to vote. We have a motion from Mr. Lewis to allow Mr. Baraka to speak for 2 minutes. Right at this point, Mr. Lewis, is that your motion? Okay, we have a second. Do we have discussion on it? Do we have discussion on the motion from Mr. Lewis?
I think in lieu of.
Hello? Oh. I want to wait 1 second, sir. We just got to pass the motion and then we'll turn it over to you. So we have discussion on the motion.
Basically, I think that in lieu of that, we're recognizing him, and we said it was long overdue that we should.
Any other discussion, or can we go to a vote on the motion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Any abstention? Mr. Baraka.
Right. First, I think most of these discussions are off the point. What the fundamental discussion is to be, can Newark Public Schools support the onslaught of charter schools? And if you want to have a charter school, why don't you get money from private sources, not cannibalize public school budget? That's number one. Number two, most of us went to public school in here. Most of us went to public school, right? Public school didn't get a bad reputation until 1954, Brown versus the Board of Education. When they tried to integrate the schools, then private schools became big. But now, charter schools are big business. They're not about education. And I'm afraid that most of these programs that these wizards come up with are only meant to cover up the fact that charter schools are stealing the money from American public education. Now, I recently, and this, I'm going to end with this, when Christie said he didn't want that $400 million race to the top money, and then he conveniently said his staff fumbled the ball, which is probably a lie. But then suddenly out of the clouds comes Zuckerberg and Facebook to give Booker $100 million, not to give to the school system $100 million, but to give to Booker $100 million. And what will $100 million do? He's going to build, I'm sorry you don't like what I'm saying, but I can't help that. He's going to build a teacher's village in the middle of Newark.
Yes.
With 4 charter schools and housing for out-of-state teachers. What they're trying to do is make Newark a bedroom community for New York middle management. They're trying to run you out of this community. And I think the more you weaken public education with all these different job kind of, if you want to put a program like you're saying, put it in all the schools. Why you gotta have some special school to put that subject? Put it in all the schools. We want our money to go to all of these schools. We want to raise public education, not charter schools.
Did you hear that?
So you don't have anything else to say? Vice Chair. Of course, do you want to speak or do you? How about I go to panel recognition if you want to do it? We will go to the Vice Chair for panel recognitions.
Wait, I think. This is the portion that we recognize the community, and if I can get everyone to take this time, I'm not going to go unless it's taken. Let me just say that this is the portion of our meeting that we recognize Okay, if I can get your attention. Let me just say this. As it was said previously, the people up here are not from someplace else. We all live in Newark. Let me finish if we're going to have a discussion. This is the part that we recognize parents for participating in the schools. I'm glad you all out here this evening. I'm really glad you're out here, and I'll be glad if not only we react, but we be proactive and come all the time, because there's a lot of problems, and only we can solve those problems. So I appreciate you being here tonight. I'm from Newark. I walk these streets. I'm here just like you. I'm not here for any alternative motive. We all are here for our kids. Everybody may have different ways they want to go about it, but as I always say, not one person in here has a monopoly on who loves kids more than anybody else. They're our kids. They're here with us, and we want our kids. So this is the portion that we recognize and thank parents for coming out to the schools to try to make a difference on a daily basis. Each day throughout the district, hundreds of parents are making a difference in our schools. And a lot of times, you may not hear them, but they're there. They're supporting our children's academic successes by volunteering. The Newark Public School Advisory Board Community Relations Committee wishes to recognize and express its appreciation to those parents and community members who devote their time, share their talent, and resources with our children. Staff and administration to improve the quality of our schools and the lives of our children. Each month, this board will continue to recognize parents and guardians who support our district-wide parental involvement program consisting of activities focusing on 1, parenting, 2, communicating, 3, volunteering, 4, learning at home, decision-making, and community involvement. Nominated by their child schools and administration, we are proud to announce tonight's award recipients. And as I call your name, parent, please come up, because we do appreciate those parents that was recognized within their school for their work. From the central, let me just also, before I ask them to come up, what we give each other is what matters to the kids. We all have something to offer. We all are responsible. From the Central and East Region, Malakia Woods from Cleveland School. Give her a round of applause, because this is a parent that comes out, that works with the kids all the time. Is she there? From the West Region, and I'll wait because I think we should at least respect them when they come up. From the West Region, we have Marina Moray from 14th Avenue School. From the North Region, Amparo Morocho from Ridge Street School. And last and certainly not least, from the South Region, Angela Mathis from Payshon Avenue School. congratulations to all the parents who come out consistently.
We're gonna go up there with
Okay, we'll move to the voting portion of the agenda. Can we move both? Does any board member have any question either about the academic services part of the agenda or the finance? Any questions at all? Do we have a motion? Do we have a motion to pass all of the items, both on the financial portion of the agenda, and also academic services and finance?
motion.
Okay. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. So all those portions are passed. We'll now move to the public participation part of the agenda.
Okay, I just want to remind folks, this is the public participation. For people who get up to speak, please give us your name and address. You are limited to 3 minutes unless you have an accommodation. The subject matter of the public comment shall be limited to matters of public concern. And the board chair may interrupt a speaker if his or her comments do not reflect a matter of public concern. The board chair is responsible for maintaining a respectful environment. This has gotten very rowdy. There are still children in the audience. Let us remember that. There needs to be respectful conversation. This is the public's chance to get up and speak. However, if a person who gets up to speak becomes disruptive, that person's at the board chair's discretion. That person may be cut off, and if members of the audience interrupt a person trying to speak, that member of the audience may be asked to leave. I remind the board that this is the public's time to speak. It's meant for members of the public to address the board. It is not meant to be a time for conversation with the board. Okay. I believe the first 3 speakers were the students who spoke before. Is that true?
I don't know. I will call them out.
Kayla Gonzalez,
Next.
Aisha Rivera, and Haidia Austin.
Next week.
Okay, thank you. Nicole Singletary. Is she coming? Okay.
What do we have? Okay.
Where is Miss Singletary?
He's upstairs.
Testing. Okay, I'm on. I'm live. First of all, good evening to the chair, to the vice chair. Good evening to our interim superintendent and the remaining of the council. But before I start, I haven't signed any waivers, so if possible, I need you to turn your cameras off. What's this camera right here? I'm asking, Chair, what is this camera?
Are you the board cameraman?
Okay, who are these guys?
I don't know. Can you identify yourself?
Please identify yourself.
New Jersey Network, Channel 9.
Okay, I haven't signed any waivers with you. I don't want my face broadcasting to the millions of homes, so you can turn your cameras off. Thank you. Mr. Chair, now that I said that for a reason, that I'm here genuinely for a true concern. I am a member of, let me get out the way of that. I am a member of my community. I'm a product of public schools, and now I work for Newark Public Schools. So, I am here. I signed up initially for one reason. Number one, the district received money to do nothing but boost parental involvement and boost parental participation inside the building. Every school was allotted a certain amount of money, I guess assessed and based upon parental turnout and what have you. For all those that know my situation, that don't know my situation, I'm going to bring everybody up to speed real quick because I know we all been here extremely long. So it's happening at my school, so it's happening across all the schools in the district of Newark. Okay, now I was laid off by the district, brought back. Laid off, brought back. State says I'm supposed to be here, so I said that to say, since October of 2010, I have been asking for guidelines that have accompanied this money so that when I put my spending action plan together, to get parents back through the door, I can proceed. I've been asking for this since October of 2010. So I know this is the first time that the advisory board is hearing of this, Mr. Chair and Vice Chair and Council, so that's why I'm bringing it to your attention. I have followed every necessary entity in terms of trying to get this. I will say it took my parent-teacher organization to put out a very eye-catching flyer to get some response back. With the only person that has responded to my requests and concerns, I would like to thank the Director of Title I, Janet Chavis, for providing me with the copies of the guidelines for the Title I money. But keep in mind, parents and everybody listening, that's just one pot of money. There's 3 pots of money. So I'm asking the advisory board by Friday, can you please get me the spending the guidelines for the spending action plan that accompany the SOC money and accompany the IRA money. Now, the IRA funds, for all those that are not listening, that's the money that our president pledged to put back into education to get parents through the doors actively involved. So that money's not allocated by...
Thank you, Ms. Singletary. What we'll definitely do is in January. No, you have 3 minutes, ma'am. We have 3 minutes. In January, the board actually did get an update on those parent participation funds under Title I. I'm going to ask Martha if you can you leave Ms. Singletary, can you leave your number with Martha? We will get you the information. We got an update on that in January. We will get you that information. Ms. Singletary, everybody has 3 minutes. We have a long list of speakers, ma'am. If you leave your number with Martha, we will actually get you the info because we just got an update in January on that issue, on the Title I money, the parent participation. We will get that for you. So thank you very much, ma'am. Next speaker. We appreciate you. Man, we have a long list of speakers. It's 3 minutes. We got to be able to respect the process. Next speaker.
Lucius Jones.
Mr. Freeman, please, security, can you please ask Ms. Singletary to her chair, please? Mr. Jones? I don't know what, I mean, she raised a legitimate issue, but Mr. Freeman, please, security, please, Mr. Freeman. Mr. Lucius Jones, please provide your participation. Can we get a mic that works to Mr. Jones, please?
She's really out of it. It's not her meeting.
Jones, please. Do we have a working mic to Mr. Jones? Ms. Singletary, please. Ms. Singletary. Can you
Ms.
please take
Singletary.
your seat so we can continue? Mr. Jones, please provide your remarks.
Lucius Jones, 224 Richelieu Terrace, Newark, New Jersey. I like to say to the board that I spoke once again at the last week at the Science High, and I said then, there are some very serious issues that parents and community have, and this is what it is. When the public of Newark saw Mayor Cora Booker, okay, and Chris Christie, and Oprah Winfrey on TV, folks got concerned. They were really concerned because they said he is going to steal the process. We all know he's not from Newark. There's no secret about that. The concerns that we have, very simply, that have not been answered tonight are what schools are going to close, what schools are going to merge. We see that you're showing a lot of data about this, and the mayor's showing a lot of dirty data about Newark. AVC was shut down and 300 special needs kids were thrown out into the street. 150 of them are now dropped out. But now we move one school in, History High, and now we want to move a second school in. Next thing they're going to say they're going to move a charter school in. We are tired of this back and forth. The other question is, will 15th Avenue become a charter school? Hey, let's define it clearly. If under a charter school, will charter schools in Newark be allowed to accept kids that don't live in Newark? That's a major, major question people want to know, because the district is responsible for the rent and the maintaining of the building. So we want to know what Cory Booker and the governor's plan is, and we also want to know what schools are closing, the timeline. Let's get past all this Dan Gold nonsense. Dan, we know that you sold us out. We all know that. You sold us out. $400 million, Dan. You was up there with the U.S. Department of Education, and you were a part of that tobacco. So we want to know, why didn't you catch the train with Janie? Why are you still here? Why are you still here, Mr. Gold? Your innovation, you're making over $160,000 off the back of kids in Newark, and you said Barringer had improved. Has Barringer improved, Mr. Gold? You need to go. Mr. Gold needs 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 to go.
Thank you. Thank you. Next speaker.
Joe Del Grasso. No, he spoke already. That was the great. That was the deal.
Thank you. Thank you, folks. You got to be quiet. I was a teacher for 25 years. I don't want to put anybody in the corner. Good evening.
I didn't, because he was one of the teachers.
To all the advisory board, superintendent, Mr. President. February 22nd, 2011, a day that will live in infamy. The state of New Jersey has kept its last secret from the people of Newark. The state came here in 1995. Today, they tell us we, as teachers, need to be accountable. They're going to judge us. They're going to judge us on student achievement. Nothing wrong with that. I say it's good. 1995, the state came here. Why don't we judge them? Let's judge them by the data. Let's judge them by what they did. All I see is that they have raped, plundered, and pillaged. The state has created a system that systematically enslaves our children. It enslaves them to a life on the street. It enslaves them to a mentality of only a survival skill. How do I survive today? We can no longer tolerate that, because it is said, you reap what you sow. They have been here too long. Even the locusts know when to leave. They have brought more plagues upon us than the Lord Almighty brought on the ancient people in the Bible. We have an obligation, and our obligation is to say that the people of Newark are smart enough to run their own schools, and they don't need anybody from the state to come here and tell us what to do. The time has come, and I say to the state of New Jersey, good riddance. The time has come, and I say to you as advisory board members, remember, you are Newarkers, and you're not the Romans. So don't let any of you be Brutus or Cassius. The people are here. And your obligation as advisory board members is not to serve the state, but to advise them.
Again, I want to remind Mr. Del Grasso and the public that, as we said earlier, I don't know if we were here earlier for that part of the agenda, this board is working very hard to resume local control. We absolutely believe 16 years has been entirely too long. Next speaker.
Also, Mr. Del Grosso, let me just also say, by being Northerners, we agree that every child should get a good education, and every person in here on this board wants to return to local control. But I'm going to tell you, and a lot of people leave it out, the state, no, let me finish before you hear an answer. The state, and no, we all have our time and it's here and now. But also, what the state has set up is guidelines, so it's harder for us, and that's why we want you to hear us. We're fighting for local control. We're all affected by the state takeover. But the guidelines that are set up, it makes it even more difficult. So you should know, just like we know, what we can do and what we can't. And if we do certain things, then they give us points and say, well, this didn't happen, so that's another point against you to return to local control. Once again, We're not from Mars or someplace else. We're right here, lifetime Newarkers, fighting the same fight you're fighting.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Dr. Leonard Pugliese.
Good evening. Newark Advisory Board members, Ms. Terrell, and members of the Advisory Board. My name is Leonard Pugliese. I serve as the president of the City Association of Supervisors and Administrators, more frequently known as CASA. My remarks this evening are specifically intended for the members of the Newark Public School Advisory Board. First, I would like to acknowledge the often thankless job you have as elected Newark Public School Advisory Board members. I know all of you work tirelessly on behalf of Newark's children, and I know that your interests are the same as those of everyone in this auditorium tonight, to do all you can do to ensure the children of this city receive the best possible education. You are the elected voice of the parents of this city. I believe now is the time to intensify your leadership efforts on behalf of the children of Newark. We are all hearing about reductions in staff and school closings proposed for next year. And while all of us understand the fiscal realities we face, we cannot accept these cutbacks and school closings as examples of educational reform. Educational reform has nothing at all to do with these reductions. The only relation between reductions and reform is that they both begin with the letter R. Many meetings took place in Newark over the last 3.5 months, asking parents, educators, and concerned community members what they thought was needed to improve Newark schools. In no case did parents, educators, or concerned community members say that cutting back staff or closing schools would improve education in our city. This year, our schools experienced significant reductions in staff. The administrators I represent, principals, vice principals, instructional directors, and instructional supervisors, were cut nearly 10% this year. We, together, simply cannot stand by and allow more reductions to occur again in the upcoming school year. The youngsters in this city need more adults working for them, not less. We hear about how the Newark Public Schools are overstaffed in certain areas. Ask the parents in this auditorium if they believe the schools are overstaffed. Ask the parents of this city if when they need to speak to an administrator or a substance abuse coordinator or a guidance counselor, they believe the schools are overstaffed. The so-called statistics that are being spread throughout this state, misleading at best, and in many cases completely false. And if I can quote a prior speaker, Mr. Jones, they are indeed based on dirty data. I ask you, the advisory board members, not to accept these statistics blindly, but to push back and ask where the statistics came from and how they were compiled. The principals in Newark just went through a budget review for the 2011-2012 school year. They were asked what they required to provide a quality education for the youngsters they serve in the schools. In almost every case, they were told that their needs will not be met. Principals are not being given what they need, and then they are expected to perform at higher levels, and youngsters are expected to perform at higher levels. Members of the advisory board, we are now at a breaking point. I ask you to raise your voices in unison and to let those in Trenton know that our young people they deserve more than rhetoric. They need the resources to enable them to prosper and to...
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Pugliese. We have 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes. We have multiple speakers. Then say it. Just say it quickly. We have one. Say your sentence, and we're going to keep moving. That's a long sentence. We have a long list of people. It's 3 minutes per. Thank you very much. We have a very long list. Very quickly, we want people to know that this board went to the Supreme Court to fight those budget cuts. We're in litigation right now to fight those cuts. It's important for people to know that. Next speaker. That's the board policy. It's not new. That's the policy every meeting.
Okay, Ronnie.
Next speaker.
Ronnie Kellum.
Good evening. I don't know where to start. My name is Ronnie Kellum, 80 Johnson Avenue, proud Bulldog, proud Malcolm X Shabazz High School student. Right now, I just received information about Shabazz. And the information I received says Malcolm X Shabazz Youth Built Spirit Prep. I don't think that you should do that. Number one, Malcolm X Shabazz High School has a long history. It is named after one of the greatest men in history. It was turned from Southside to Malcolm X Shabazz High School, named after El-Hajj Malik Shabazz. Once they turned it over to Malcolm X, the Jews left. Okay? I'm just going to point that out. I'm telling you right now, Mr. Jeffries, we are not getting ready to put a charter in Malcolm X Shabazz High School. Okay? The state gave the school a SIG grant. This is his first year. We have 2 more years. After that, the school will be handed over. I don't know what you're going to do. I don't care if you for charter school. I don't care if you not for charter school. But guess what? As long as I'm in Shabazz for 4 more months to challenge you at every advisory board meeting, you are not going to turn Malcolm X Shabazz High School into a charter school. Not only do I have 4 more months to challenge you, to pressure you, to debate with you, I have 4 more years with my sister in a public school. And guess what? She's coming through a magnet school. She is not going to Malcolm X Shabazz High School because my name is already in the books. I'm already a hellraiser at the school. I'm already getting pressured by the administrators. But guess what? They can't touch me. I have 115 credits. I have 4 more months in the building. Guess what? If Donald Jackson can get away with it, Ronnie Kellum is getting away with it. Because you can't do nothing, the principal can't do nothing, the vice principal can't do nothing, because guess what? They are signed by a contract. I am not. I can say whatever I want. And towards the contract, we need to revise the contract because as it looks now, my career changes have changed in college. I am not going to major in criminal justice. I'm coming in education. Now, I like to speak out. The contract says that a teacher cannot speak out because guess what? You're signed by that contract. Well, guess what? I need to have a copy of that contract because I want to sit with you all. Not just me, not just the community, but you, the advisory board members, to reconstruct the contract.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kellum. Don't stop raising your voice. Never stop raising your voice. Thank you, Mr. Kellum. Next speaker.
Yamina Spotswood.
Oh, you think I do? I don't know if I am.
Ms. Spotswood? Okay.
I don't think I'm getting points.
It's Maureen Robinson. I live in Elizabeth, New Jersey. I am the building rep for Westside High School and a special education teacher there. It has been reported to me by a number of employees throughout the district that corruption, nepotism, racism, favoritism, cronyism, discrimination, inequities, unfair and desperate treatment, injustices, and the creation of a hostile work environment by some administrators, especially at the Barringer 9 Academy and Westside High School, continues to exist. It has been reported to me by too many employees
that 2 of the district administrators whose skin is lighter than the majority of his or her subordinates treat staff whose skin is darker than theirs like they are still on the plantation. That's unacceptable. I commend the few staff members who had the backbone and stamina enough to say enough is enough and stepped up to the plate and exercised their rights by filing an affirmative action complaint against those corrupt administrators who conspired and sought to intimidate them and destroy their career. Excessive unannounced observations and evaluations are being used as retribution and retaliation tools against them. That's unacceptable. One of the staff members received proficient evaluations for almost 5 years prior to the academic school year 2010-2011. She is a tenured teacher. How could she go backwards? Again, the issue of SLTs and their function need to be addressed. One of the SLT mandates is supposed to be interviewing interim administrators and educators who have been assigned to various schools. The process is not working, and some of the administrators are not acting as if they are highly qualified enough to perform the duties of their positions. They have already started targeting certain members. In conclusion, my class 111 is one of the rooms that is utilized by the adult evening school. Almost every time my room is used, when I return to work on the following day, the room is left in deplorable condition. Supplies are stolen, and the room is in total disarray. One evening I returned to school unexpected and went to my room. The students were all over the place, desks were unorganized, and the teacher was sitting at my co-worker's desk with earphones in his ears, not paying attention to his students.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Robinson. Next.
Albert Fortney.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Lewis.
I want to thank Ms. Robinson for her continued voice. I also been hearing them same rumors as you've been hearing about favoritism, nepotism inside our class, in our district. I believe in 2009 when I was elected, it was a document that all board members had to sign and district staff that said that your family members or relative cannot work in this district. But I believe that that contract is not being enforced in this district, because I know certain people who have certain people working in this district and their family.
Mr. Lewis, if there is some...
I'm not talking about individual cases. I'm not talking about individual cases. I'm not going to talk about individual cases. I'm just saying, this administration, I believe that you need to do a full investigation, find out who's breaking this contract. And also, I want you to look into principals in this district kicking out students because of IEP. And we find that this is happening, that they've been brought up on tenure charges.
Thank you. Thank you.
Albert Fortney. Is that Mr. Forney?
Is Mr. Fortney here? Is Mr. Fortney here? Okay, next speaker.
Tony Marie Allen.
Miss Allen? Next speaker.
Quincy Clark.
Mr. Clark, Mr. Quincy Clark. Next speaker.
Rufus Johnson.
Good afternoon. My question that I really had for you guys, because, excuse me for not, Mr. President, school board members, Now that I see that you're starting to answer some questions, I see some questions coming back and forth. What are the schools that you are closing? Can anyone tell us what schools are being closed?
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
We received a proposal that was presented as a proposal to us. I want to reiterate, to answer your question, a very important question. We learned first about these proposals based upon what was in the paper. We found that to be very offensive. We found it to be very disrespectful to this board. We think it's more disrespectful to the people who elected this board. So what was presented tonight was a set of proposals around 5 additional high school programs that would be co-located at particular schools. Because we just got this information for tonight and we're able to have a limited conversation, this board, we will follow up with the district and have very detailed conversations about those 5 additional new schools.
Mr. President, but you do know what schools are proposed to be closed, don't you? The schools that are on that list to be closed. You know the ones that they are proposing.
No. All we know are about the 5 proposals that have been presented tonight that deal with bringing new programs and co-locating those programs at existing schools.
Have you reviewed that plan, the plan for the proposed changes?
I have not myself. I actually received that I received that from a reporter this morning, and I haven't had a chance to review that, but that's how we have received that report.
Has anyone on the board reviewed that proposal?
Say that again, what did you say?
Has anyone reviewed the proposal?
No one has had any other information besides what was on the paper from this morning and what we received tonight. That's it.
Well, is it true that in your last meeting that there was a vote being taken to close West Side or to shut it down, and but
no,
they didn't have enough votes to get it passed?
No. Let's clarify what happened on that. At our business meeting last week, the district proposed to apply for school improvement grants from the federal government for 7 schools. The school improvement grant process requires the district to propose one of 4 turnaround models. So a school improvement grant, to be eligible, you have to have a school that has underperformed for a significant amount of time. And when the district applies for that, you have to pick one of the 4 models. There's restart, there's closure, there's turnaround, there's transformation. No model has been proposed yet. When we have our meeting in March, the district will come to us with each of those 7 schools, and West Side is one, and propose a model. It could be turnaround, which doesn't involve any sort of closure. It involves changing staff. It could be transformation, which doesn't involve any sort of closure. So we're not at that point yet.
Well, from what I'm hearing, and it has came through us, through the county, through the state also, is that they were planning on closing it to make it a magnet school or a charter school.
We have no knowledge of that. So what was presented to us last week was a proposal to apply for West Side for a school improvement grant, and in that application, the district has to pick one of 4 models. 2 of the models have nothing to do with closure. They wouldn't touch closure. And so when in March, when we have our business meeting in March, at that point, the district will present which model it thinks we should use for West Side.
Okay, because I'm hoping that you as a board is paying attention to that, because if you close West Side, think of the area that West Side covers. Where would you send our kids? And I live up in Ivy Hill. I'm a resident there, and we have a lot of children up there.
I don't think under any we will see what the district comes back in with March. I can't imagine under any circumstance the West Side is going to be closed. So I think that's a rumor. To our knowledge, there's no truth to that. We can't imagine any circumstance where that would make sense. So we don't want folks to kind of run with that, because we don't have any evidence that that's anywhere on the radar.
Well, everyone has received this list with proposed changes on the schools. And it has the Newark Public Schools deconstruction plan, dismantle and co-share. I don't know if it was done by the board itself, but it has a lot of changes that's going to be going on, and a lot of places that's going to be switching. Like, for instance, 13th Avenue School will become Vailsburg Prep and things of that nature. Is this a good document, or is a no good document?
That's the document, and Mr. Johnson, unfortunately your time is up, but that's the document that the press reported. We just got that, again, we got that from the press this morning. Right, so that's how this process has been done. It's obviously a disrespectful process, but so we just got that information this morning. And we're told it's a proposal, but we're going to examine it and respond. But thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. Thank you. Next speaker.
Gianna Robinson.
Yes, my name is Gina Bailey Robinson, 417 South 14th Street, Newark, New Jersey. I'm also a Westside PTSA president, and I'm also a Rough Rider parent. I am a truthful Rough Rider parent. Yes. My first thing is, because I got the same information that the other man had, the plan that they're proposing, this plan does pit poor parents against each other. Yes, it does. We should stay focused on building a new Westside High School for our neglected, deprived students and neighborhood. We need to focus on quality education for our forgotten students with high-tech, enhanced educational equipment with competitive high-tech knowledge, just like the other schools. We will not be sold to the highest bidder and dismantled piece by piece, destroying our students' education by real estate or corporation for their financial gain. We will build a new school to keep our students in the district. Freedom is the right to be wrong, not the right to do wrong. What is the overall plan for school reform? That's a question I need to have answered. Reform means change. Who will be our new superintendent after 6 months? How will the person be selected? Because parents have a right to vote in our community. Collaboratively working together is impossible. The impossible is possible. Make it happen. But I just want to know, those papers that were sent out, because I did get an email, are there rumors, because there's a secret that's going around about the disenfranchise of the entire community. No transparency, no change for Democrat input. This plan does not discuss how to improve the educational outcome for thousands of children. This plan does not include input from any stakeholders, parents and students and educators and administrators. This plan does not address future growth of our Newark public schools or an organized plan for learning. This plan does not lock out any prospect to increase enrollment at the magnet schools for the hundreds of children who have met and are able and are being prepared to meet the respective admission criteria. This plan does incorporate pop-up charter schools with no proven track record for educational outcomes. And I just want to address the fact that Westside, been told so many times, I've been at a lot of meetings that we held at Westside, telling our parents that Westside will be made over. How many times did we have to meet together? I come out to those meetings because I am a true Rough Rider parent. I don't care if it's just me standing alone. I stand for our children in this community. I am an advocate, and I'm going to keep on pushing because our children deserve the best. They are our future. Now, another thing I want to address is, why at Westside High School, because this is really getting on my nerves, why at Westside High School are children that does not come with you?
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Bessie Walker.
Hello. Good evening, Mr. President, Vice President, Advisory Board members. First of all, I'm really offended because you have several board members that have left. The people voted them in to stay here and to hear the issues and the complaints of the residents here. Mr. Thomas, will you give me some volume on this mic, please? Thank you so much. Second of all, as a Rough Rider, as a graduate of the Newark Public School District, I am truly offended. You know why I'm offended? I'm offended because for you, I'm offended for the residents here, because you had to hear it via the newspaper and everything else. But I need to say this. Shavar, you as the president, you had to be sitting with Governor Christie, Cory Booker, and all that. So you had a sense of what's coming down the pike, and you could have shared it with the residents in the city. You know what this is? This really is the biggest Ponzi scheme ever put over on the city of Newark, bigger than Bernie Madoff. Because you know what it is? It's a thing of closing our schools to convert the real estate to charter schools and take our kids and throw them in a desolate place. I'm really, really sad at this. And two things that we could have done here tonight, because I'm embarrassed that you guys just said you just found out about this scheme. Well, what you should have done, instead of trying to speak it out in this community, you should have, just like you do seminars and conference, you should have took a half a day and brought it into community and laid it out, fully presented it to folks. This is a disgrace that you all get up here and cut the phones off, the mics off from people when they have suggestions for you, and you can change the order of business. We didn't have to sit here all night for you to do this. Robert's Rules of Order said you could have changed the order of business. You could have heard from the residents first before you put on anything. And if you're really sincere about working with this community, you need to get a lot of us around the table with you to help come out, and we could go down to Trenton, we can go anywhere we want, we can board the buses and fight this onslaught, this siege on this city. From the city of Newark, where Cory Booker has done a terrible job, a disastrous job, now got his hands over in the school district over here. He can't cure the city's ills. And now he's over here. If you really want parents to fight with you, and you really want transparency, open government, you need to call us and really let us help you lay out this.
That's great. Thank you.
I'll wait till you finish.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's democracy at work. My email address is shavar.jeffries@gmail.com. I want to work with any and everybody. It is disrespectful that we found about this in the press, and that's the fact of the matter. We learned about the details of this plan in the press, and that is disrespectful. Anybody who wants to work with us on that, send me an email, and let's get busy if you're committed to doing it.
You know, I'm glad people are out, and this is what we wanted. What Shavar didn't mention, that we've been having forums and begging the community to come out, not just the grandstand, but begging the community to come out to work with us. Do you honestly think that we don't care about our children that's dying in the street? Do you honestly know? No. If you honestly think we don't care across this, not just in Newark, but across this whole country, our children are dying, they're locked up in jails, and those yet unborn, things are being planned for them not to exist. Do you honestly think we don't care about that? We can talk, but and the fact that we say is, the fact that we say is Black History Month, one, I will say, we have been having forums with the community. Two, anyone who seriously, if you talk about something during Black History Month, as Malcolm X did say, anyone, and not just for those few, but any of you, whether you're teachers, activists, whoever you are, if you seriously want to help make change, we are willing to work with any and everybody on behalf of our students, and we'll continue to say that. We'll continue to work for our kids. I've been here a long time. I'm not impressed impressed with noise. What I'm impressed with, if we seriously want to work together on behalf of our kids. If not, we'll continue and our kids will suffer because of it.
Next speaker.
Minister Van Ness Roper.
Let me just say one thing. No, I'm sorry. Anybody who wants to talk to me, feel free.
Mr. Roper. Mr. Roper. Mr. Roper. Mr. Roper.
Good evening, Advisory Board and Superintendent Terrell. I'm here today to talk to you guys as a History High School parent and as an advocate of Newark. My situation is this. I do not support youth build coming into History High School. I don't support any alternative program going into any building. In History High School, Science High School, Shabazz, possibly 15th Avenue, West Side, we got some work to do. What the board, what has been proposed, I heard about 2 weeks ago and it was substantiated on Friday. I want you guys to hear this. I heard whispers of this 2 weeks ago, and I reached out to the deputy commissioner, and I told her I'm hearing rumors of some foolishness coming into Newark about alternative high schools. It was substantiated on Friday, and I began to make phone calls. I want you guys to understand this process. This party has to continue at the mayor's office, where we got to hold him accountable, and then we got to go down to Trenton and hold the deputy of the Department of Education accountable, and then we got to send Governor Christie a very strong message. We'll come in your backyard, we're going to fight, and you're going to do as we ask you to do. As the president has said, they have disrespected the board. Yes, they have. They have disrespected the parents. Dr. Janney, the former superintendent, had secret meetings 6 months ago with Rochelle Hendrick, the deputy commissioner, to bring this foolishness to Newark, and only a Newark parent is going to have to decide that is enough with the local control and begin to take over the state. We tell our children that they should go to Penn State. Well, the mayor and the governor decided that they're going to send the state incarcerated program into our building. What does the city of Newark say? We say what? No. And if you want to say hell no, that's fine too. We cannot listen. If they do it, listen, we're only talking about 5 schools. They got 10 more schools on the agenda, everyone. They're hitting, it's going to be 15 schools that may have alternative programs or charter schools in them. And the bottom line, we're sitting around and we can't argue with the board. We got to tell Mayor Booker, we got to bring this back to the city hall where it belongs, and come down there and raise hell with Cory Booker. The city council got to be held responsible for this foolishness. And Governor Christie, who answers to no one, if we come down there together, he will answer to us. But how long is it going to take? Berlin Wall did fall down at some time, and maybe that this is the wall that they put up before, where we decide to stand up and be men and women and tell the state that they got to get the hell out of our district. Listen.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Roper. Thank you very much. That concludes public speaking. Does anyone? I'm sorry, sir. We have to sign up in advance, sir, because we could never manage this if anybody could just speak at one person. I'm very sorry. We have a business meeting in March. Please sign up for that, or our public meeting in March. Does any business board have any old or new business they want to raise, Mr. Lewis?
Yes, Mr. Chair. First, I want to announce that on next Monday, we will be having a renaming ceremony for Mayor Baraka at the Student Center, 230 Broadway from 6 to 9. We're naming the theater room after Mayor Baraka in his honor, and we ask anybody who can and will please come out and help us celebrate this historic moment. Also, Mr. Chair, I also think that that we need to clarify some things. Excuse me, folks, I can't hear myself.
Come on, Mr. Lewis. Yeah, you didn't.
I also wanted to address some things. I wanted to address one thing that happened at our city council last meeting. It was indicated, that a proposal came before the board about a charter school, and since Councilwoman Crump and also Councilman Baraka and Councilman Sharif here, I wanted to put this on the record, that that proposal did get mailed to the board. I reached out to the individual, gave them my information to reach out to me. I gave them the board chair information, and that person had not reached out to either one of us, because we are interested in hearing what that person is proposing. So I wanted to put that on the record so that you know. And also I wanted to know, can we hurry up and roll out the meetings about the SID grant? Because I believe that the West Side community already made up their decision, made up their mind that they want to turn down the SID grant because they made AYP, so there's no need for the SID grant. So I wanted to make sure that we could hurry up and roll out for that presentation. And also the models that was presented here, the 4 models, if we could do what former Councilwoman Bessie Walker said, have a Saturday and we present each model to the community as a full presentation.
I think that's a great idea. I think we'll talk to the district about figuring out how do we go to the community to raise these issues. Does any board member have any additional new or old business? Do we have a motion to adjourn? Do we have a motion to adjourn? Second. Anyone all in favor? Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Good night.